of Mastery Consulting. Today's question is a difficult one. How do you deliver bad news? Which is no doubt a skill that requires great business discipline and courage. First principle I'd like to share with you: always deliver bad news promptly and relatively swiftly. In other words, the sooner we sit down and critique the behavior of the underperforming employee, the more likely that person is to change their behavior in the longer term. Secondly, always deliver bad news privately. It is never a public affair. In fact, Richard Branson likes to say, Virgin Airlines likes to say, praise people and they flourish, criticize them and they shrivel up. So we need to be very, very delicate about these conversations and make sure they're in a private venue always. Lastly, I'd like to recommend The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard as a template for your reprimands. He calls them 1-minute reprimands as follows. Firstly, sit down with someone and immediately and swiftly critique the behavior. What was the underperforming behavior of the employee? Secondly, tell them how you feel about it and allow for a minute or a few seconds even of uncomfortable silence to let it sink in. We could say something like, I'm so disappointed at that behavior. I really expected more of you. And then allow for a couple of seconds of silence for the person to feel your emotion over this. And lastly, always reassure them as a person. We could appropriately put a hand on someone's shoulder or sit next to them in that kind of intimate fashion and say something like, you know how much I value as an individual and a person, and it's all because I expect more of you. Those are 3 principles that you might want to throw in your tool belt for reprimanding, for delivering bad news. So my question for you today is, which one of these elements might you add to your tool belt in order to improve the performance of the people that you work with?